All right, this is the day before surgery, and I'm going to show you two workouts here. This one was done yesterday, and then I squatted today. So more one-arm dumbbell shoulder pressing, which I actually enjoy a lot more than the one-arm benching. I don't know, no particular reason, probably other than I love to shoulder press. The last time I did 70 pounds, and it was 2x10 and then an AMRAP, and I did 22 reps, and my coach was like, it's amazing how bored somebody could look with a 70, but like 70 is really light for me. I have pretty good overhead shoulder power. I've done the 150s for one. It was really ugly because the bench slid. So this time we did 2x10 with 80 and then an AMRAP, and I was feeling pretty good. I think I probably pushed mentally a little bit harder on this one, and I got to like 20, and I was like, all right, we're doing 25. So I did 25. I'm pretty proud of these two because we're talking like tap the shoulder every rep. So it's pretty solid work, you know. And I do think because it's increasing week to week, like granted, maybe I put more mental energy into it, but also I think just training one arm, the joke about pumpkin training is absolutely true. And again, that idea was if you're trying to grow one pumpkin to go to the county fair, you cut all the other pumpkins off the vine so that only that one pumpkin gets all the resources. Yeah, I think my right arm is just getting stupid strong. So, yeah, we did some other shoulder presses, 3 plates on the machine, and then I did a couple of lower weight ones, and then one 50-pound dumbbell tricep extension, which was great. These felt good. Coach told me to glue my elbow to my ear a little bit more. Noted. Then I did dumbbell preacher curl. Nothing exposes how weak my biceps actually are until I do actual preacher curls. Like I can super do reps that don't look like I'm cheating if I'm standing and do like pretty good weights with my biceps and make them seem strong. But once I do a preacher curl, it kind of comes back down to earth. So I did like 25 pounds for 15 reps on the strict. It felt good though. It was funny though because I had like a moment where I was like, okay, now I got to do the left arm. And it's like, oh yeah, we're not doing that. And that's partially because now my arm, the day before surgery, like my arm is pretty darn functional. The only thing I can't do is supinate my left hand and extend my arm at the same time. There's still some nasty inflammation in my forearm, so like it's hard to rest my forearm on anything. But other than that, it doesn't necessarily hurt. I'm sure if I like poked right into the bicep, like yeah, it would probably hurt. But yeah, I mean, if I had full range of motion, because like I had a client, Sal, who did this, and he had full range of motion within like a day or two, and I think his was a partial tear. I'd probably be hesitant to even do the surgery, but yeah, I literally can't extend my arm if I supinate my hand down. So, yeah, surgery is definitely necessary. That's taking place tomorrow. So, surgery tomorrow, squats today, and squats in particular have been done with Larry lately, which is great. Larry's just become my training partner in this, which I really like. I enjoy that. Although we had to change a lot of plates today. I did 430 pounds for a 4x4, and he did, what would that make that, 120 kgs or like 256 pounds. We did have the orange bands on here as well. Banded safety bar squats are a great exercise. It's really, truly a special exercise, especially when you're walking it out of a model like that. Like the bands aren't that much tension. I mean, they are if you're tall, but probably, again, maybe 20 or 30 pounds each. But they pull you forward, and the SSB already pulls you forward. So it really exaggerates what the SSB already does. And then I'm doing these beltless and knee sleeveless. Larry did them knee sleeveless because Larry will use any reason not to use his knee sleeves. And then also his knees hurt, which is really, really awesome. No, but it's great though. And I love that he's doing as much knee sleeve less work as he can because it is going to build up strength. And then when he does that, his knee sleeves, he's going to feel stronger. He's been getting super strong too. It's awesome. But I told him, I think, customized programming from a coach and then feedback is super awesome. But like, there's nothing better than when you have a good training partner. So him walking into this role of just being my training partner, which he elected to do because he knew that I wasn't going to be able to just load plates on a safety squat bar on my own. And if he's going to load the plates, he might as well work out with me, which, I have the greatest appreciation for in the world. We've also used it as a good time to be able to mentor him into some coaching and some of the ideas of programming. So every time we do a rep scheme, like I explained what 4x4 is good for today, what kind of percentages you would use for 4x4, what the goals are in that. I actually talked to him today about one of the things I do for a 3-week wave. I like to start clients off with like a 4x5, and I'll pick a weight that I think that they're going to absolutely smoke or that they should. We'll call that maybe 70 to 75%, right? Depends on the exercise, depends on the client. And then if they do really, really well with it, you can either give them the same weight the next week and bring it to a 5x5. So you've added 5 more reps with the same weight. You can even increase the weight a little bit and give them a 5x5. And then your goal is ultimately to get them to the heaviest 4x5 on the third week as possible. So you're basically just trying to give them the most weight for 20 reps by the third week that you can. And then you can move that into the next 3 weeks of doing things that are like, let's say it was bench. I love to do like a 6x3, for the next week, right? So now you're doing 18 reps, and it should be heavier than what you did with the final 4x5 20 reps. And then you can progress that up. So if the 6x3 went great, you could keep the same weight. You could add a little bit more, and you could do an 8x3, right? So you've done the same thing where you've increased the number of reps, maybe increased the weight. Maybe you kept the weight the same and just increased the reps. You have a lot of options with that. But the whole idea is that slowly over time, you're eventually going to up the weight progressively enough that you're going to lower the reps. And they're going to continue to increase how much they've lifted by both intensity, how much weight is on the bar, and by volume, right? Number of reps and sets that have been done. And then ultimately, when you want to peak them, you just kind of cut that volume down and up the weight really significantly, really fast. And what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a nice little peaking cycle. And that's kind of how I train my clients. And it's not super set in stone. Like, not everybody does the exact same things progressively, because I find that certain clients do better with higher reps and certain clients do better with lower reps and cluster sets. And you have all these little intricacies. And that's why I actually don't even program clients out more than a week at a time. Which is problematic as a coach, because you have to be on top of it. You have to get them their new program as soon as that week starts. So you only have maybe like a day to react on that. It's definitely easier to lay out 12 weeks and then to modify as you go. But the problem with that is then I feel like a lot of times if you're making modifications where you have to lower it, it kind of hurts the ego. And the client's like, damn, I'm not doing very well. And they don't feel very satisfied. And where it's week to week, I don't necessarily have to reveal exactly why I did what I did, right? I can just concentrate on what's going well. And at the end of the training cycles, it always goes well. Where I have clients like Natalie, who's 18 years old, who's now PR'd her bench every 6 weeks for, a very long time. We just did the math on that. Like, we know that can't go on for forever, but if you were to PR your lift by 2.5 kilos every 6 weeks, you're putting on like 50 pounds on your bench press every year, right? That's an insane rate of progress. And I think me and her talked about this. One of the ways that we've done that is by being really good at communicating with each other. She tells me what she thinks is working and what she likes. I tell her what I think is necessary, and we always do both. On some amount of level, we always do both. So that's really cool. But yeah, this was great. I smoked my 4x4. Larry smoked his 4x4. He took his reps super deep. He always does. The speed was good. Talked a lot about bracing. I think especially for the SSB, you got to get that 360 brace. And the act of bracing is to pull in air into your core, flex your abs, and the best way to think about it, and this is something that was brought to my attention this year by another great coach from some online YouTube videos, you're sucking in air and then trying to push the air out against a closed airway. And if you do that, if you just sit there right now and you take in the deepest breath of air you can, and then you try to push it out, but you close the airway in your mouth, you'll find that when you took the air in, your chest expands, your shoulders come back. When you push the air out, your abs immediately flex and your shoulders come back forward a little bit. And that's like the ideal position to be in for a squat brace, right? Like, you don't want to arch your back. I always tell people you don't want to look like you're twerking. You don't want to look like a banana. So that's a little bit on core bracing there. You guys are all welcome for that view. Our first accessory today was dumbbell rows with a dead stop. And I did 130 pounds, which I thought was way too light, but that's what my coach asked for, so I noted it. The dead stop does add an awesome element to it. And the first set I did with that, I was just dropping them on the floor. And then by this set, I was like, I get it. I should probably go like slow and controlled. That's probably why it's light. It's 130 pounds. So I did some reps slow and controlled. We did a 3x10. Larry also did a 3x10 with a little bit less weight. But I did note to him, I was like, I recognize that you are doing both arms and I'm not. So energy expenditure was very different. Did some leg extensions. I program leg extensions for all my clients. In fact, everybody starts off their program or starts off a new 12-week block with single leg extensions, and we progress up in the reps. Pete never programs leg extensions for me, so this was a treat. It was interesting. I didn't know what weight to use. I started off with like 200 pounds, and we were doing a 2-second hold at the top, and it was a 3x12. Dropped it down to like 180. That was the right weight.